to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And I am back once again. It is actually a Monday morning this time, and I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And I'm in here in the war room where it is nice and warm and dry. It's been such a crazy weather pattern that we've had lately. It's been 1 week, it's been really nice, 80, 90 degrees, pushing 100, and then all of a sudden it'll drop off and we'll have like a 30 or 40 degree drop overnight. The temperature will drop, and then we get rain, and it's just, I'm like a couple days away from July, so it's what, I don't even, let me look here, I forget the dates. It is, what is it? My phone's not telling me. Oh, it is June 29th. So yesterday was June 28th. June 28th, and I went out and I cut some wood and I started a fire in my wood stove because it was windy and rainy and cold at my house. It's almost July, and I'm relying on my wood stove still. That is absolutely, that's absolutely crazy. But whatever, it is what it is. I guess it's better than having temperatures in the hundreds. But you guys lucked out. I don't know if it's lucky or torturous for you, but you guys ended up, that's what we'll say, you ended up with me again, just me for the podcast. Once again, everyone's busy, end of the month, work needs to be done. People got, family reunions and whatnot. So you've got me again. I know I'm not as fun as the other guys, but I'll make do. We'll chat with you about some stuff here. But first of all, what has been going on for me and in Second Amendment wise, not a whole lot. Just I have had some classes come in and come through, which have been fun. We get lots of people signing up for permit classes. I just talked to a guy about having a church group come in a couple weeks, which those are always fun. They want to learn, they want to kind of touch up on the basics, learn how to draw and shoot, reload. That kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting that class actually scheduled and getting people there. I had, Thursday night, I had my women's group meet again, and they're always just a ton of fun. And I also had a couple ladies swing by and take a class on, they've been taking a class a month, and so they've been building and progressing on each class every time they come in. And we're up to the point where I taught them how to draw and shoot the firearm, and how to shoot and move. We touched on how to shoot and move, and next time we're going to talk about, reloading and malfunction drills and all that good stuff. And it's been a lot of fun working with them and seeing the smiles on their faces when we get done, knowing that they had a great time. They really enjoyed the class, and I had a great time as well. And I have to apologize here as I'm trying to talk and breathe at the same time. I don't know what's in the air, but I've got my allergies been worked up for the last couple of days like crazy. So if I sound a little stuffed up or if I sound out of breath, it's because I'm trying to breathe. And no, I do not have the COVID-19. It's my allergies have just been driving me absolutely nuts. In fact, my whole family's been that way. So I'll struggle through here, and we'll see what we can come up with. Trying to think. So that's pretty much all that's been happening here. Just lots of classes, which is great. Phone's been ringing off the hook. Getting a bunch of people signed up for permit classes and whatnot, and just kind of moving forward with that. Trying to live the dream. Trying to make the dream work. So I have touched base with a few listeners, actually. Listeners I've never met, but they've messaged me on Facebook or shot me a text message and asking me questions. And they had questions about, they're into rifles, they got a handgun, they want to figure out how to conceal carry this handgun, and such and such holster's not working for them, and they had just holster suggestions. So I don't mind doing that. If you guys got any questions, anything, comments, questions, concerns about buying a gun, questions about a holster, questions about carry, you got stories you want to tell me, go right ahead. You can do that. You can get a hold of me. You can call me. You can text me. Area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. I'll be happy to answer any questions you want or help you through a decision or whatever. Just like I said, just get a hold of me. Now, I do know that there's one listener that submitted a couple stories to me that I have not gone over yet, have not been on the podcast yet, but they will be. They will be coming up. I'm just kind of waiting to get the guys back together, and we'll, before we go over those, get a bunch of input on those as well, from them as well. I was just on the phone with a couple of the guys yesterday, and hopefully we'll be getting back together soon for possibly the next podcast. We'll see what's going on, but I want to start off by saying, if you followed this podcast from the very beginning, this podcast, I'm not talking today's episode. I'm talking from when we first started doing them a couple, 2, 3, I don't even know how long, years ago. They've been all over the place. They've been pretty informative. I know they've been a lot of fun, most of them. Stories. We touched on a lot of news, all kinds of stuff like that. And I haven't really had any set agenda for the podcast. And so what I'd like to start doing is a friend of mine made a suggestion who listened to the podcast. He goes, what about more informative type podcasts? You don't have to do informative podcasts every week, but every now and then, why not just have an informative podcast? Just one that teaches a little something to new gun owners, to current gun owners, to whatever, just kind of cover the basics. So that's kind of what I am going to try to do today, and I don't know if this is going to be 30 minutes. I don't know if it's going to be an hour, but it'll be something, and we'll get this out. So I was cruising through my computer here, making lists and allergies, reading some articles, and I got to thinking about there's guns are really hard to find right now. I was talking to a guy who has a gun store, and he said that his distributor they have a list of SKUs for guns, and they normally for 9mm they normally have 12 or 1,300 SKUs, available SKUs for firearms. He says right now they have 8 of those SKUs are available right now, and he says most of those are for the $1,200 and $1,400 guns. So guns are hard to find. So is ammo, really hard to find. So that brings me to the point that there's a lot of people out there, and we've mentioned this before, there's a lot of people out there that bought a lot of firearms, and there's a lot of brand new gun owners out there, people that may not have bought a firearm before. So I kind of wanted to go through the list here and just touch on, here's the question. I just bought my first gun. Now what do I do? So the panic sets in, right? There's the COVID-19 pandemic. There's the riots. There's the cars getting flipped and burning, the businesses being set on fire, or maybe something tragic has just happened in your life. A friend that got mugged, someone got beat up, maybe your neighborhood's not turning into the best neighborhood anymore, maybe crime is up. So you go out and you buy a gun. Go out and you buy a gun and you buy some ammo. Now, does this mean that you are set? You bought this gun, you took it home, and now nothing bad is going to happen to you. Or the gun's in the gun case that it came in, and you are safe now. If you need to use it, you can always just pop open that case, grab that gun, load it up real quick, and you're good to go. Does that mean that's going to be a magic talisman that's going to ward off evil and ward off evildoers? Not really. To be honest with you, if you don't get that gun out and you don't use it and you don't know how to use it and you just have it sitting around your house in the box that it came in, chances are if your house gets broke into, that's going to be one of the things that leaves with the bad guy. So you need to know how to use it. Lately we've seen a lot of law enforcement, sheriff's departments, that kind of thing, or just even sheriffs come right out and say, you are on your own. They come out and they do a news article or a news briefing or whatever, and they say, you are on your own. We are not sending law enforcement in for you, or law enforcement is so overwhelmed. Oh, that was bad. Sorry, bumped the microphone. Tarver would yell at me if he was here for that. But he you are on your own. Law enforcement's not coming in. They're undermanned. They're understaffed. We had a situation over in Atlanta where law enforcement they were just calling in sick. They didn't want to be there because of everything that had gone on against law enforcement. They weren't responding. There was one guy that showed up for work in one entire district. I mean, law enforcement is, to a certain extent, becoming null and void in areas because of everything that's going on. So you are on your own. And what you have to remember is you are the first responders. Even if law enforcement shows up, you are the first responders. You are the ones that are there. You are the ones that are going to be there, and it's going to happen within seconds. It takes law enforcement possibly minutes to show up. I mean, typically when you even pick up the phone to call law enforcement, it's already over by then. Whatever is going to happen has happened, right? You need to be your first responder. You need to be the one that is right there at taking care of business, and you need to know how to do that. So you bought this firearm. Why did you buy it? Are you going to carry it with you? Are you just going to keep it as your house as a nightstand gun? That's fine as well. Are you going to keep it in your vehicle? I mean, you just want to learn how to use a firearm, so you bought one to go out and shoot. You need to kind of look at all that and figure out why you actually bought that, and then that's going to direct you in that's going to guide you and point you in the direction that you need to go. So let's do this. Let's say you bought a firearm to defend yourself, right? To defend your home. You're going to have it at home. You may carry it with you. Let's do this. You buy a gun. Just because you buy a gun doesn't mean that the bad things are just going to not happen to you. Let's go back and let's start and look at your houses, right? You're trying to be safe. You're trying to keep people out of your houses. So you bought this firearm. Well, you don't ever want to have to use your firearm unless you absolutely have to. So let's do this. Let's try by doing a walk around of our house, right? Let's try by keeping our exterior doors locked, garage doors down. Let's maybe keep our curtains down when we're not home. So we're not advertising the big ticket items that we have in there, televisions, computers, that kind of stuff, right? Let's put, some lighting around the house. When we're out and about, for example, if we're going to carry a gun with us and we're out and about and we go grocery shopping, let's park in well-lit areas. Let's not go to Walmart at 11:30 at night and park way out in the back, the back 40. Park as close as you can. Park under well-lit areas. Keep really good what we call situational awareness. Know what's going on around you, right? Know what's going on around you. Pay attention to where you're at. Once again, you do not want to have to use your firearm unless you absolutely have to, because it's there if we need it, but you're going to go through so much if you use your firearm. You may be you're probably going to spend at least one night in jail. There's a good chance you're going to be sued civilly, even after the end. You're going to be sued civilly. You're going to miss work. It's going to cost you money. They're going to take your gun, which you may or may not get back. I mean, it's just so much is going to happen that if you can take these steps to avoid putting yourself into a position where you have to use your firearm, that's what you want to do. You just want to reduce the chances that you're going to be accosted by someone and have to use your firearm. You want to avoid that if you can. I got a little like a meme thing I put up on one of my classes. I put it up. It's on my PowerPoint. It says, it shows a guy, he had just killed an elk and he's taking a picture with his elk, and you see a mountain lion back behind him. And I'm sure it's Photoshop, but it says situational awareness is paramount to your personal safety. And that it is. I mean, pay attention to what's going on around you. Make sure you're in good spots. Make sure you, park in well-lit areas like we just mentioned, and stay safe. It could save your life. So let's say you bought this firearm, and we're just going to go on the fact that you bought this firearm, but you've never bought a firearm before. In fact, maybe you're not a gun person, right? So step 2 is going to be safety, safety, safety. You need to know the 4 major firearm safety rules. You need to learn them. You need to practice them. You need to never deviate from them. You need to develop the muscle memory needed to do stuff safely. If you kind of look at it, complacency is the enemy of all concealed carriers. I mean, and the consequences of that could be a negligent discharge. And if you don't obey the safety rules and you have a negligent discharge, I mean, the ramifications from that can be enormous. I mean, you don't get very many second chances with firearms, right? Put a hole in yourself, your leg, someone else. I mean, bad things can happen, and bad things can happen quick. That's why we have to be on top of safety at all times when you're dealing with firearms. You have to practice what those safety rules are. So let's start at the top. Treat all firearms as if they were loaded, even if you know that they were unloaded. Every year, people are killed by a so-called unloaded firearm. You need to check that. You need to, someone slides a gun over to you and says, "Hey, cool, man, look at my new gun." You need to treat that firearm like it is loaded. You need to pick it up, keep it pointed in a safe direction, keep your finger off the trigger, drop the magazine, rack the slide a few times, lock the slide back, make sure that gun is clear. Treat it as if it is loaded, especially if you don't know. But even if you know that it is unloaded, treat it like it is loaded. You need to obey all the safety rules. You need to, safety rule number 2, never let the muzzle of the firearm cover anything you're not willing to destroy, injure, or kill. So don't point the gun at anything you're not willing to kill or destroy. And that falls back on treat every firearm like it is loaded. Even if you know it is unloaded, we do not point the firearm at anything we're not willing to kill or destroy. Safety rule number 3, keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to fire. That is another safety rule. So if you treat all firearms as if they're loaded, even if it is unloaded, that means you never point the muzzle of any firearm at anything you're not willing to kill or destroy, even if it is unloaded. And you always keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to pull that trigger, until you are on target, until you are ready to fire that gun. Okay? Do all those things, and you're going to remain safe. And I go into gun stores to look at guns, and I know our buddy Mark, who's on the podcast with us, he works at a gun store, and he's constantly just says, he gets guns pointed at him all day, that he kind of becomes numb to the fact. Even if you are at a gun store and you are looking at firearms, and you know those firearms are going to be unloaded, right? Exactly. And I don't care what condition you ask to look at a gun. I don't care what condition the gun counter guy gives you that gun, and maybe he clears it, maybe he drops the magazine, locks the slide back, and slides it over to you. Maybe he just pulls it out of the case and drops the magazine and just slides it over to you. Maybe he just gives you the whole gun to look at. Whatever the case, you need to go ahead and safety check that firearm, no matter what. Even if he just did it, you need to safety check it. Point it in a safe direction, rack the slide a few times, make sure the magazine's out of it, make sure it's safe, and then you can take a look at it. And please, for the love of God, do not point the firearm at the gun store counter guy, at fellow customers, at yourself. I mean, keep it pointed down in a way, or ask the guy behind the gun counter, "Hey, is there a safe place? Where can I aim this firearm? I want to look up the sights. I want to grip it. I want to hold it out. I want to, maybe you even want to dry fire the gun. And if you've checked it and cleared it and you want to dry fire it, you certainly can do so, but maybe ask them where they want you to point the firearm, the safe way to point that firearm and squeeze that trigger, and kind of let it be on them. So, those are 3 safety rules. We have a number 4, and the 4th one is be sure of your target and what is beyond. So you are responsible for every bullet, every round that leaves that firearm. So when you are out target practicing, maybe be in the mountains, on a range, or wherever, we all know, and I know I'm gonna point this out, even though I shouldn't have to. We all know that you're not gonna shoot at that cardboard target, and once that bullet hits that cardboard target, it's not gonna fall to the ground behind it, right? It's gonna keep going. Even a 22 will go up to a mile and a half. I mean, there is a video of Jerry Michalek with a 9mm ringing steel at it's an amazing distance. I don't even want to throw the number out there, but it's an amazing distance, and it can be done. A 9mm round will fly a long ways, but you are responsible for that round wherever it ends up. Make sure you have a good backstop, a big a big dirt berm. I mean, something. You have to have something there to stop that bullet. So pay attention to that. Be responsible. Be the responsible shooter. Make the sport and the hobby look good. We don't want to read about your name in the newspaper saying that you were irresponsible, because that's not good for the Second Amendment movement by any means. So we're going to go on to the boring. The next step is kind of boring, but you need to know about this gun that you've just bought. You need to, I'm going to say, read the owner's manual. So, and when you read the owner's manual, it'll teach you lots of things. It'll say, so this firearm can handle, plus P rounds, which is that's kind of overloaded rounds, hot rounds. It's going to be able to handle them. Sometimes some firearms can, some firearms can't. You want to know that. It'll kind of give you, if you're brand new to firearms, it'll give you an overview of how the gun functions, the parts, how to take it apart. Most guns are pretty similar when it comes to taking them apart, but some of them are not, and they all have their little nuances, right? I don't know the term, but I know some of the Smith & Wesson, or the Smith & Wessons, the M&P 2.0s, they all have that little release wire in it that you got to reach down and release before you take the slide off and put the slide back, that kind of thing. You need to know how to do that properly. And so read the owner's manual. It's not that big. At least peruse through it, get a good overview, right? And learn all about that firearm. You can actually go, and I don't want to encourage the online stuff a whole bunch, but you can garner a lot of good information online. And you can go on to like the YouTube channel, and you can find probably someone unboxing the same gun that you just bought, and they're going to go over absolutely everything. Those aren't bad things to check out and learn as well. So there you go. Read the owner's manual. And we're going to do this again. We're going to go back to number 4. It's going to be safety, safety, safety. You need to learn how to run that firearm safely. You need to learn those rules. So you always want to revisit safety. Safety, safety, safety. I've had people come into my class that have been shooting for 30 years, according to them. And you know what? They get lax on safety. The finger goes on the trigger when it's not supposed to. They point the gun in the wrong direction. They aren't treating it safe. They just assume that they've been handling this firearm for years, that I know if it's unloaded. All right, I've always put my finger here. Nothing's bad has ever happened. Safety, safety, safety. Just because you get older and you've handled the gun for 30 or 40 years doesn't mean the safety goes out the window. Safety never changes. Safety is always important. So let's jump to number 5. Number 5, understand the laws of self-defense. So if and nowadays, if people are buying a firearm, it's typically going to be because our world is a mess right now. Okay. Our country is a mess. There's bad things going on. People feel like they need it for protection, whether it be for protection for now, maybe protection for later. They know that they need this firearm to be able to protect themselves. The time is coming, right? So they need to understand the laws of self-defense. So, learn, knowledge is key. Learn the ins and outs of what you can do. Your states, I'm going to say Idaho, that's where I am, but learn your states or, Idaho's lethal force laws are very, very important. And one of the best ways you can do this, and I'm always advocating for education, right? I'm not trying to, bolster up my business for making money. I mean, I should be, right? That's how it would be successful. But go take a class somewhere. Go take a class. Contact your local police department, your sheriff's department. Ask them, do you offer a class? Do you know who offers a good class? Who's going to teach me the laws, of carry, the laws of carry, your state's self-defense laws, and or go find a good concealed carry class, one that's going to teach you the laws of your state. Learn the ins and outs. Learn what you can and can't do. There are so many differences in everything that you do. There's so many. I see people come into class. They think they know the laws. And after they leave the classroom portion, the look on their face, they don't really know, or they thought they knew and they didn't know. It's so different. I hear a lot of people say, well, if I have to use my firearm in self-defense, I'm going to tell law enforcement I shot to kill. No. You didn't shoot to kill. You shot to stop the threat, right? You need to know how to deal with law enforcement and what not to do and what to do if you have to use your firearm in self-defense. You need to know if your state has mag capacities. Maybe you can't carry a high cap mag. Maybe you got to carry a 7-round magazine. You need to know what gun you're allowed to carry. Maybe you have to get a concealed carry permit for just the gun that you're going to carry for one gun. Maybe you need to qualify with just that one gun. You need to understand that. Maybe you can only carry one gun on you instead of 2, and you wanted to carry 2. You need to find out what your state allows. You need to find out where your state allows you to carry said handgun. Can you carry in bars? Can you carry in restaurants? Can you carry in private-owned businesses? You need to know the ins and outs of that. What to do if you're stopped by police. Do you have to tell them you have a firearm? What should you do? What do they expect? Those are all really important things to know. And the only way you're going to learn that is, it's typically going to be some kind of class. And if you're going to go take a class, you might as well go take a concealed carry permit class and get that while you're there. They will touch on some of the basic shooting fundamentals there as well. Okay, step 6. Sorry, excuse me. Those allergies are getting bad. Step 6, get the right support gear, right? There are things that you should buy when you buy a gun. I think when you buy a firearm, it should be a package deal, or you should plan on making it a package deal anyhow. So typically when you get a firearm, you're going to get probably 1, usually 2 magazines with it. That's fine. If your gun only comes with 1 magazine, you need to probably look into purchasing another one. I think 4 or 5 magazines for each firearm is a good thing to do. But plan on purchasing that. Plan on purchasing some ammo with your firearm, your newly purchased firearm. Target rounds, stuff that you can go practice with, and good self-defense hollow points. Something that you can put in your gun to make sure it's going to run in your gun, and then you can load up the magazines, and that'll be your carry ammo. Since you need to go out and shoot that firearm, you also need to go look into getting some safety gear. Some ear protection, some eye protection for when you're at the range, for when you're practicing. You also, you also need to go and get find a good holster, a good quality holster, one that's going to protect the trigger, one that's going to work for your body type, however you want to carry, whether it be on the waist, whether it be in the purse, whether it be appendix, whether it be on the ankle. I can't tell you that's probably one of the hardest things for people to figure out is how they want to carry. And it's going to be different for me, for you, for someone else. We all have different body types. We all wear different type clothes. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's more of a sacrifice than anything. Sometimes to be able to carry well, you have to sacrifice how you dress. You have to wear pants a little bit bigger, depending on how you're going to carry, so you can hide the gun. Wear clothes a little bit bigger, a cover shirt, something like that. You're going to have to sacrifice somewhere, but you need to buy that gear. You don't have to go out and buy the most expensive gear, but you need to go out and buy decent gear, like a decent holster, one that's going to fit the gun, not the cheap $20 Uncle Mike's that you find at the gun store. That's not going to cut it, right? You want to go and look around. There's tons of reputable holster makers online. That's typically where you're going to have to get your holsters, is going to be online. Make sure you're buying a holster that's not made for all guns. You buy a holster that's specifically made for your make, model, and caliber of firearm. I prefer a good custom. Custom is always great, but I prefer a good Kydex holster, one that's going to protect that trigger. You want to protect that firearm. You want to be able to carry it as comfortably as you can. Now, do understand, I think that people get the misconception that they want to be able to carry their gun and they want it to be so comfortable they don't even realize that they have it on. Well, that's not going to happen, right? You need, carrying a firearm should be comforting, not comfortable. you need to realize and understand that you are carrying a firearm, and it's not gonna. You're gonna know that it's there, and that's just some of the sacrifices you're gonna have to make when you carry it. But good gear, and also, I almost forgot, a good gun belt, a stiff gun belt, a belt that is actually made to hold a gun if you're going to carry in your waist is a great thing to have. It's going to support keep your pants pulled up, right? It's going to support the holster and the firearm and not sag, and it's going to make learning how to draw and all that stuff so much easier. So buy good quality gear. And a good quality holster is going to cost you, I've spent lots of money on holsters, but a good quality holster is going to be anywhere from $60 to $100 typically. And know that you're going to probably end up, if you're doing this seriously, you're going to end up with a few holsters. You don't have to go buy them right away, but you're going to have one for, like I have one for, different holsters for different guns, obviously, if you have multiple guns. But you're going to have a holster that you wear every day. You may have a winter carry holster, one in the summer for deeper concealment because you're wearing a lot thinner, a lot less clothes then. You may have a different holster that you wear on Sundays to go to church to fit your suit or your Sunday attire. There, one that you run in or work out in or hike with or whatever. You need to make sure that you have a holster that works for you, and you're going to end up with a box of holsters. That's just the way it is. So we're getting through these here. Sorry, I keep kind of clear my throat. This is been a rough allergy season on me, so I apologize ahead of time there. Here's another one. Step 7, get professional instruction. Go out and go find a qualified instructor and make sure you qualify your instructor. Find out who he is. And like we talked about in the last podcast, just because he's law enforcement doesn't mean he's qualified to actually teach shooting. But do your research, ask around, find a good instructor, take a class, one that you can learn the law from, like we talked about earlier, and one that maybe you can come back and take some private classes with. If you've never shot before, a beginner's class to teach you the fundamentals. And then ask your instructor, hey, can you build on this? Do you have another class and another class and another class? Like these two women that have been taking classes from me. They've been taking a class a month. They started off, they took their permit class, and started off that route. And then they came and they took their fundamentals class. And then we did a draw and shoot class. Then we did a shoot and move class, or a draw, shoot, and move class. And now next we're going to do a reload, malfunctions drill type class, and just kind of build on your skills. And it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. And what I'm doing with these two women is we're kind of we're going through the steps here, kind of building them up with each class as we go. And then at the end we're gonna have a class where they come and I put them through like like a certification course, like a qual course. And I'm going to run through a qual course with a timer. And I'm just going to kind of see how they perform and just kind of like test their skills, test their knowledge. Nothing too serious. We're going to be safe. We're going to have fun, and they know what's going on, and they know what we're building up to, and it'll be fun for everyone. And if you go and take some of these classes like this, and you learn, knowledge is power, man. I mean, skills, muscle memory. When you go to learn how to shoot a firearm, it's all about muscle memory. It's all about doing. And you may have taken a bunch of classes 6, 7, even 10 years ago, right? But if you haven't picked up your firearm to go shoot, you may have some skill a little bit, but most of that muscle memory is going to be gone. I mean, the knowledge in your brain is still there, but the muscle memory has wore off, and the muscle memory is what's really important when it comes to shooting. So think about that. Find and get good instruction from somewhere. Let me look here. Get professional instruction. So let's jump to step 8. So if maybe you're not going to carry a firearm all the time, maybe that's not what you want to do. Maybe you are going to just keep it in your house. Learn how to stage it in your house. Where are you going to be? Are you going to just have one firearm and it's going to be on you? Because you can carry a firearm on you at your house. That way your gun is on you at all times. And maybe you're in your kitchen. Someone kicks open your door. You'll be prepared. You don't have to run upstairs to your bedroom and grab your gun, right? I think that if the gun is going to be in your house and you're going to use it for protection, the best place for it to be is on you. Okay. If you're sleeping, obviously you don't want to wear it on you, but you can keep it on your nightstand. Now, let me throw this out there as a little caveat. Do you have kids in the home? Do you have grandkids that visit? Do you have neighbor kids that come over? You don't want to leave your firearm laying around where little hands can get a hold of it. And if you decide to leave your house and you don't want to take your firearm with you, by all means, lock it up in a good gun safe, right? Lock it up in a good gun safe. Protect it. But I think, if you're just moving throughout your house and it's just you in your house and you don't want to have it on you, you can set it in the kitchen with you. Take it in when you're watching TV, that kind of stuff. You're not being paranoid per se. You're being prepared, right? How many, illegal home entries are made as far as people kicking, bad guys kicking doors open in the middle of the day or in dinner, home invasions. They can happen at any time. We've seen that. There's no set time that they're going to happen anymore. So be prepared and be safe. Let's look at here. So there's another one here. Get your learn on. So learn. Take those classes, sign up for classes, read articles, read books. There's plenty of self-defense books out there. This one's by Rob Pincus. This one's by Masad Ayub. Read articles, just read a bunch of stuff, and knowledge is power. There's this thing right now we call, the podcast, right? That's what I'm doing right now. There's tons of podcasts out there, and I'm not saying I'm the end-all, be-all of podcasts. I'm smart enough to know that that's far from the case. But there are a ton of podcasts, and you can get information there. Listen to multiple podcasts and garner and glean the good information from each podcast, and that's how you're going to learn, and that's how you become more educated on good concealed carry, right? There's plenty of people that write online articles and blogs, and it's good information. They talk about defensive mindset. They talk about real life defensive situations that have happened and encounters and what has happened, and they break them down and they analyze them, and it's not a bad thing to know. So educate yourself, read. There's another one. Practice. And I always hit on this. Go out and shoot your gun. If you can't afford to take classes, I totally get it. Classes, well, I'll start off by saying Patriot Defense classes are affordable if you're in the area. We make it work for you. But, classes do cost money, and they're not all super affordable. Go out and shoot, right? Go out and shoot. If you can shoot 50 rounds a month at the gravel pits, that's better than nothing. If you can shoot 10 rounds, that's better than nothing. I'd rather see you do that than take this gun, load it up, shoot it once, and never shoot it again for the next 3 years, but carry this gun around thinking that it's going to, be the magic wand that gets you out of trouble. You have to put in the time. You have to be diligent, put in the elbow grease, and practice, and learn how to use that to develop the muscle memory. There's so many things to learn when it comes with firearms. I mean, you got to learn all the basic fundamentals: the grip, the sight picture, the stance, the trigger press, you name it. I mean, there's so many things in fundamentals, and then you can learn, just like I repeated earlier, you can learn how to. Oh, you got to learn the trigger reset. You got to learn, drawing from the holster and shooting, drawing from the holster, shooting and moving. You got to learn reloading, tactical reloading, malfunction drills, right? There's all kinds of stuff, maybe shooting from the ground, shooting from the back, all kinds of stuff to learn, just to get fully educated on it, because you can't run out. And like I said, knowledge is power. You need to learn how to adapt to your new lifestyle. So I carry a gun on me every day, wherever I legally can. It feels funny to me if I do not have a firearm on me. Okay. So I have adapted to it. I've gotten used to it. I buy pants that are a little bit bigger in the waist to accommodate my firearm for how I carry. I've got muscle memory and systems set up for when I go to church, it's this holster. This is where I carry. When I'm in town, this holster, and this is where I carry. I learned to avoid places that might not be great for me to go. Even if I have a firearm and I feel a little bit safer because I have my firearm, I avoid places where I might possibly have to use it. That's what you want to do. You do not want to have to use your firearm unless you absolutely have to. So I don't know if any of this stuff helped you. It was just kind of an informative type article. It was an article. It was I had some questions and I looked up an article and got some ideas on it. But it was just an informative type podcast, I guess. And I'm going to start doing some of these here and there, whether it's, I do an extra podcast a week or there are weeks like this, but I'm going to start throwing them out there because I think there's a lot of information that can be garnered from this. And I want to help people, and I want to have a good time on the podcast with the other guys. So I think I'm going to start doing both, and we will see what happens. And I'm sorry it's kind of short, but I'm having a rough time talking today. My throat is so dry from my allergies that it's pretty rough. So you guys have a great week. I'll get this uploaded sometime later today, I hope. And I tell you what, if you like the podcast, share it with your friends. It's the Patriot Defense Podcast. You can find it on Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, a bunch of other different podcast catcher apps. Probably anywhere that you can find podcasts, you can probably find the Patriot Defense Podcast. And if not, let me know and I will get it put on there if I can. But if you like it, share it. Have people subscribe to it. That'd be fantastic. That's shared on your social media. That's the best thing that you can do for us. To help us grow. We've got quite a few listeners. It's always great to get more. We do what we can. So, and then once again, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, anything like that, feedback, you can either email me at patriotdefense13@yahoo.com, or you can call me or text me, area code 620-794-6223. It's area code 620-794-6223. And I am going to be 100% honest with you. I will respond to a text message. If you text me, I will respond to it right up, straight up. If you could talk to anyone, any listener that has ever texted me out of nowhere, I respond. I'll carry on conversations with you, right? I mean, it's what I do. I like to help people, I like to talk to people, even if it's just to say, hey, I live in Cincinnati. It doesn't matter to me. Just let me know where you're from and say hi or have a question. I will interact with you. I promise. And until then, you guys have a great week. We're getting into, coming on to get into the 4th here. Let's let it be a great week. Everyone have a good and safe 4th. And I will, it's the 4th of July coming up this weekend. I don't know. I'll see what guys I can get together for a podcast. If not, it'll just be me again, but we will get it figured out. You guys have a great week. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for listening. Bye.